calling it a rivalry dud. Guys, Rivals Week has started for the WNBA. It started officially on Saturday. And Rivalry Week will continue from, it started on the 9th. It will continue through the 17th. And there are some big time rivalry games to talk about. Y'all know the rivals, the Chicago Sky versus the Indiana Fever. Yeah, you know that rivalry, right? Angel versus Caitlin, Sky versus Fever. But wait, Caitlin's out, right? Angel's out too. Oh, the Sky have been terrible all year? Wow. Oh, the Fever are substantially better than them? Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, this rivalry isn't a real rivalry? Oh, it was a blowout? A blowout in this game? In this rivalry game? Oh my goodness. What a start to Rivals Week. Two of the main players you try to put against each other are out. And a rivalry game, which should be a close game, ended up being a blowout. So, what a rivalry game. What a rivalry game. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So the Chicago Sky ended up taking down. No. The Indiana Fever ended up taking down the Chicago Sky, and it wasn't much of a game, 92-70. Yeah. Move on to the next rivalry game. Next rivalry game, we got the Minnesota Lynx versus the New York Liberty. They didn't play at all against each other in the first half of the year. You wanted to save it for the end, right? You wanted to save it for the end. The champs versus the would-be champs. The champs versus the team that still believes that cheating was happening, and that they were the real winners, right? That's a real rivalry, right? Breanna Stewart versus Napheesa Collier, right? That's a rivalry, but Napheesa's out, and it looks like Breanna Stewart might not return towards the end of August, but still a game to watch, and it was a good game. It really was. Ultimately, the Minnesota Lynx did win over the New York Liberty, but some of that flair of rivalry, it was a dud of sorts because the two main players are out. Well, it was still a really good game. It still was, right? But yeah, interesting. We got the Phoenix Mercury versus the Atlanta Dream. Not necessarily really a rivalry, but it was an opportunity for Brittany Griner to play against her former team. So that's some sort of a rivalry of sorts, right? She wanted to show up and show out, and her team showed up and showed out and took down the Mercury. So that, my friends, was a very good game. It was. That was a good rivalry game. So what else do we have left for this week? What else do we have for this rivalry week? Well, we have the Indiana Fever 2 more times against more made-up rivalries. Okay? We got the Indiana Fever versus the Dallas Wings. Why in the world are they rivals? Why are they rivals? Well, Paige Becker's #1 pick this year. Going against, well, maybe Caitlin Clark, #1 pick last year, if she's back and if she plays. There was also another piece to this rivalry in that Nalissa Smith ended up going to the Dallas Wings. Now she's no longer on the Dallas Wings. But at the time, it made, I guess, kind of sense. A little bit of sense, even though they don't really it's not really a rivalry between Indiana and Dallas. But sure, make it into a rivalry. Will Caitlin even play? Because she's still on her way back from injury? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah, they're not actual rivals. And then to kind of cap off rivalry week, we have the awesome rivalry between the Las Vegas Aces and the Indiana Fever. News to me that was a rivalry. That's a rivalry? When did that become a rivalry? When? I'm confused. Is it because A'ja Wilson is on the Aces and she was the MVP and she got a lot of the attention while everyone was focused on the future of the WNBA and Caitlin Clark? Is it because it's South Carolina versus South Carolina and A'ja and Aaliyah? I'm confused. What exactly is the rivalry part of it? Anyway, I wanted to start off with this because a point that I am trying to make, which I was trying to lead with sarcasm, but maybe, whatever. So if you all think I was actually legit serious. I was trying to be sarcastic. And the reason why is because the WNBA, they sold Rivalry Week. Rivalry Week was a sold package, right? For sponsorship, of course. But the unfortunate part was you schedule Rivalry Week towards the end of the season. What are we doing? When we have the most games ever in WNBA history, the shortest time frame between games, at about 2 days between games for most teams, and you want to schedule Rivalry Week that is built upon the big names of the game. You wait till the end of the season, towards the end of the season, to schedule that. Why? And now you're surprised. You're surprised now with the results, right? You're surprised that the star players that you had this whole thing built upon, they're out, they're hurt, they're injured. Why did you wait? I'm all in favor of doing a rivalry weekend, but any rivalry weekends need to be towards the beginning of the season. If you're going to continue to cram so many games in a very small amount of time, dog, what we doing? Have that stuff early in the season when players are actually healthy. Don't schedule a whole bunch of games in a historically, high season in terms of injuries, and then be surprised that everyone's hurt. Yeah, this is injury. This is not rivalry week. This is injury week. That's what this is. Injury week. That is exactly what this is. And the thing I find interesting is this is one of the graphics that one of the NBA affiliates put out. And the thing I found hilarious about it is that there's actually an opportunity for a real legit rivalry in the WNBA. And that is the Golden State Valkyries versus the LA Sparks. Now, that game on Saturday ended up being a blowout. Shout out to the Golden State Valkyries. But that is more of a rivalry than Indiana versus Aces or Indiana versus Dallas. That's more of a rivalry because it's within the state, and it's like a whole deal, right? So yeah. And with that, let's move on to. I just had to get off my chest because I was like, this makes no sense. This makes no sense to have rivalry weekend or week towards the end of the season when you knew everybody was going to be injured. You knew it. Sterling says storylines have not been established. You mean if we had rivalry weekend earlier in the season? I mean, rivalry week is not established now. They just made up. Let's put Indiana against all these teams and let's call it rivalry weekend when it's really not. Thank you. W says you can't predict injury, but you can predict not enough rest/recovery would lead to injury. Yes. Olivia says, will there ever be a point where players would just do unrivaled only to keep healthy? I mean, unrivaled increase in the payday, so hey, who knows what may happen? Okay, who knows?